What's up, X and YouTube? Matt A. Today we're going to have the ultimate paid mod review video for Starfield. That's right, because guess what? There are a lot of paid mods in here. Some are good, some are bad, some are mixed, but overall I have to say I am in favor of paid mods overall because the creators decide if things should be monetized or not. However, if they are paid, they need to have higher quality. And right now, for the paid mods, the quality is not as high as it could be. So these mod reviews are going to be very in-depth. I go over the details. I check for bugs. I check to see if it actually adds gameplay value, if it adds to the lore, if it makes the universe feel better. I'm also going through and checking to see quality of life, the quality of the assets, if they're bugged or not, if they add to the gameplay, if they add any fun mechanics, if they add new interactions with the environment, how it looks, how it fits into the lore, everything about the mod that you would want to know before you bought it. I go over all of those things and I test them out in different situations, different scenarios, depending on the mod, which you will see here in a second. So I'm going to go and we're going to take a look at the list now, and I'm going to show you every single one that I downloaded and every single one that I tested. I paid for these, so you don't have to if you don't want to. Let's take a look. Okay, the first one we're going to talk about is Franky's Emporium, okay? Now, what this does is it adds a little shop off to the corner and the city of Neon and the Neon Core. So if you travel and you go to Neon Core, you will see it off in a little nook and cranny to the side. You will see that here in a second. Now, it does add a couple of things, okay? So it adds this weapon called the Miney. And what it does is, from what I understand, and you'll see in the testing footage, you can mine resources with it. And also it doubles as a functioning weapon, which is kind of convenient, because the new arc laser that Bethesda added didn't actually mine materials, it just was for damage. So it's nice to have a weapon you could use for damage, and a weapon that, it's good to have a weapon that you could use for damage and also mining resources if you like to explore a lot. So this is one of those things in the mod that kind of give it some more weight and give it some more value, because some people do like to explore and also have combat at the same time. So this will do that for you. Now, the weapon itself is incredibly detailed. The assets are fantastic for it. The weapons, the ammo actually recharges, so you don't have to stock up on lots of ammo, and it doesn't weigh that much. So it's good to have in your inventory to replace the cutter. In other words, you can replace the cutter with this, I believe, in your inventory, and then that way you won't have to worry about ammo in case you run low. It's also very, very good for stealth. It's good for stealth combat. It's good if you have the full range of laser perks. It will tear enemies up. I used it on level 75, security, neon security. I used it on civilians. I used it on level 75 neon security. I used it on civilians. I used it on a bunch of different things, on a bunch of different, armored NPCs, and it worked out pretty well. And you'll see it takes them down pretty well, and I don't have laser perks. So if you have all the laser perks, it's going to work even better than that. So I feel like it's a good balance. It's a good weapon. You will need the perks to make it viable in-game, but I will say the effects of it are really cool, because there are multiple different mods, multiple different sights, multiple different grips. So it does come with a full assortment of mods. It's not like, one of those added weapons where you get the weapon, you know what I'm talking about. You get the weapon and it looks all weird and has weird characters and the mods are weird and you can't really upgrade it. No, this weapon is fully upgradable and it feels like a weapon that would have been added by Bethesda. So it's a high quality asset. So I give the weapon itself a 10 out of 10 just for that weapon. That weapon itself is a 10 out of 10. The issue comes in because you paid for the whole mod, not just the weapon. So I have to keep going and take that into consideration. So just because this weapon is a 10 out of 10 doesn't mean it weights the whole mod down or brings it up with a 10 out of 10. But the weapon itself, 10 out of 10, you can mod it. It is really good for stealth. It has a good looking effects, good looking laser. It operates completely perfectly fine. There are no glitches, no bugs with it whatsoever. Weapon, 10 out of 10, the Miney. All right, the other unique thing that this shop adds is, you know, an epic outfit. Most of the time when you get outfits, you get civilian clothes like this, you know, the kitsune, or you get, you know, robes or a dress. It's not going to have any modifiers. Well, they have modifiers, but they're not going to have epic modifiers. Typically, you're only going to get one modifier, like plus critical damage. You'll get something like extra CO2, extra, you know, physical resistance, or, you know, some kind of little boost, small boost. This adds an epic, you know, clothing material, epic clothing, where you get more than one benefit. So basically a 2-star. So it adds a 2-star casual outfit. And this, it looks, you know, you get the pocketed, you get plus 20 carry capacity, and you get chameleon, which is really good because it will allow you, and you'll see some chameleon stuff. It'll allow you to pickpocket and steal from vendors early on in the game. That's really good. The issue that I have with this that gives it a little bit of a negative mark is it gives you chameleon too easy, too early in the game without actually having to pay very many credits for it. Essentially, you could start at New Atlantis, do all the beginning quests, do everything I showed you, check out my ultimate start guide. You get through, you sign up for the UC, you can come to the shop and get some OP gear right at the beginning. You can get this where it gives you chameleon. I mean, you know, it's up to you, but overall, the suit isn't OP. I think it just should cost a little bit more money. That's just in my opinion. Otherwise, I will give this probably a 10 out of 10 too, because the suit is very well done. It has the, you know, the vanilla assets with it. There's nothing glitchy about it. Everything works perfectly with it. You know, there's nothing too bad to say about the suit whatsoever. The shop itself, really well designed for what it is, but it is a super small shop in the corner. There aren't that many original assets. It does fit with the lore. It does fit in nice and well because, you know, you can't fit too many things in Neon because it's packed up already. So I guess it makes sense in that way, but it just feels a little bit lacking in the design of the shop. And like I said, because you're paying for this, if this was free, the shop design would be a 10 out of 10. But because it's a paid mod, it's going to put it a little bit lower. I would give it an 8 out of 10. But the robot is very funny. It interacts. It has a couple of little beep boop lines. And then you go in and you shop. Now, the shop itself has a lot of good things. There's a lot of good stuff to buy in this shop. Everything is well detailed. The other ding I will give it, or a negative for me, is that the vendor has too many credits. And I know we all want infinite credit vendors and things like that, but it has a little bit too many credits for my taste. It makes it a little bit unrealistic. Other than that, it's pretty cool. So that part's an 8 out of 10. So overall, I have to take all of this into account. Okay, I have to take the weapon into account, the Miney, and I have to take the Kitsune suit into account, which is a 10 out of 10. The pistol is a 10 out of 10. The shop itself is, you know, a 7 or 8 out of 10. So I have to take all of that into account. Frankie's Emporium. So Frankie's Emporium. Is it worth it? And what's the final score on the Frankie's Emporium mod? If you like laser weapons, and you like adding to the world, you like going to Neon, Neon's one of your favorite cities, and you like having more shops and more things to explore. You like the fact that, it has one of those little robot square vendors, and you are going to use that weapon, and you like lasers, and you want to play around with the weapon. If you like all of that, the mod is worth it. But I have to give it an 8 out of 10 because it's paid for. If it was free, it'd be a 10 out of 10, to be honest with you. But because the shop is a little lackluster, and there are a few things that I don't like about it, such as the vendor having too much credits, and that the suit is a little bit too cheap to get the chameleon suit, which is kind of OP. That's the only downside. The plus side is, like I said, the highlight is going to be this weapon. This weapon, the mods are great. It's not OP because you do need rare materials to make the mods. You do need all the research that you would normally need in a weapon to get the mods. So overall, I give this an 8 out of 10 because this weapon really carries it. This suit really carries it. And the shop is very lore friendly. It fits in properly, but there aren't that many unique assets with it. But all of the assets that are there are functional. There are no bugs with it. There are no pop-ins. Nothing glitchy, nothing crazy with it. It's in there. It looks good. 8 out of 10 because it is paid for. And this is one of the higher quality mods out of the ones that I'm reviewing. Some of the other ones have a few issues or bugginess with them. Now on to the next one. The next one we're going to be reviewing is the Ramen Shop. That's right. Everybody likes the Ramen Shop, right? It's pretty cool. Now the assets for this are fantastic. There's no pop-in again. So in that sense, these are all very high quality, and you can see the details here. I take a look around the shop. I go around the entire shop and take a look. I approach it from multiple different angles just to make sure there are no pop-in. So the shop itself fits very nicely into the city of Neon. The shop looks great. It fits right into Neon. The colors look good. The theme looks good. The robot looks good. It's cool because it does add life to Neon if you do like that sort of thing and, you know, the in-game universe. Because random NPCs will just come and sit down and they'll eat or drink, and you'll see security come and sit down. So multiple NPCs will come and sit down at this shop. And in the shop, there are a lot of really good food items, especially if you're on the gameplay settings where you need sustenance. You could get a lot of good food items, and as you can see, the food items have really good branding, incredible detail. It's insane. You know, the assets for the food have an insane amount of details, and you're really going to appreciate that. Now, the downside with this mod is it doesn't add anything besides this. You go, there aren't many dialogue options with the robot. You could buy sushi, you could buy food. That all looks great. The assets all look great. It makes the city feel lived in. You could talk to the people, talk to everything. But that's it. There's nothing essential in here. Nothing you really would need for your gameplay. So it's hard for me to give it a review. Because the cool factor, I will give it a cool factor. I will give this mod a 9 out of 10. And yes, I'm counting that with the cool factor. Now, if you don't think that this looks good, if there is no cool factor for you, you could bump it back down to probably a 7. The cool factor really carries this thing because it doesn't really add too much to the game whatsoever. Besides more shops, more universe, it makes the NPCs have something to do. So they feel less lifeless, right? It feels lived in because you'll randomly have NPCs, you know, sitting down at the ramen shop to get some food or to talk. And when you pass by or you sit down on the stool yourself to get food, the NPCs will talk to you. So it does make the city feel a lot more lived in. It is a welcome addition. 9 out of 10 for the cool factor. If you like Neon. That's if you like Neon. I like Neon. A lot of people like Neon. I got the mod. I'm cool with it. So I definitely got this mod. I do not regret it. But if you hate Neon, you probably don't want this mod, right? If you hate Neon, you're like, I hate this place. I don't want to go. I don't want to jetpack around this place. I hate Ryujin Industries. Then you're not going to want this mod. Okay? It's that simple. With this mod, there's a lot to go over. This mod is called Starsim. Mining Conglomerate. Now, from the gameplay that I have, from what I've played, there are a few drawbacks to this mod. We'll start with the cool thing. Okay, the cool thing is it adds a new space station. It seemingly adds a new faction that you can interact with, kind of like the Trackers Alliance. So you can actually interact with these people. It feels, this is one of those mods, you know, the paid mods, but it makes the world feel more lived in and realistic. So you go to the space station, you dock with the headquarters. You're going to get all of your missions, and you're going to interact with the headquarters through a board base. So kind of like a bounty board. Only this board pops up when you dock. So when you dock with the headquarters, a menu is going to pop up, and it's basically like your bounty board, but in this case, it's a terminal like your personal computer. There are multiple different aspects to the terminal. You'll have mail, you'll have spam mail, you'll have things where it's asking you to sign up for subscriptions. It's all pretty accurate, and then you kind of have a mission board and see your mission progress. On the mission board, there are a few different types of missions. So far, from what I see, there are protect the miners, mine rare materials, and protect, the station. All three of these, here are the drawbacks, okay? All three of these are the same thing. You go to the same instance. It adds the same asteroids to every single one that I know of so far. If I'm wrong, you can correct me. But I went to 4 different missions, and they've all had the same type of event. So what I'm thinking is how it works is they created, a bespoke event. So they created this asteroid event with a set amount of ships and 3 different changing assets and 3 different, changing dialogue trees. So every time you jump somewhere, it randomly generates this radiant quest, and it generates this asteroid field, which is basically the same, almost the same every time. And it's kind of like one of the Starfield dungeons. So basically it generates a dungeon in space. So it generates the dungeon in space as a radiant quest. So you can keep going back and getting these quests. It'll generate in space, which is really good because we need more events like that. That part, the way it sets up, the way you dock with the interface, the way the faction feels, the way everything works, I would actually give that a 10 out of 10. Again, really, really good. Now, this mod is one of the mods that have more drawbacks than the others. And some of the weaknesses of the mod are going to show after you play it for a little while. What I mean by that is, you'll go to the mission, right? The mining headquarters ships spawn really far away. So it takes you a while to get to the battle or to the combat because you spawn in the middle of an asteroid field every time. The asteroids don't behave properly. There's something weird with the physics of the asteroids and how it was modded in. That was probably a limitation of the creation kit. Or this was done pre-creation kit. So the physics of the asteroids don't function properly. You can't target the asteroids properly either. So what that means is if there are ships around, you're going to automatically jump from ship to ship with your targeting and not target the asteroid itself, because for some reason the game doesn't recognize the asteroids as an asset, even though the asset is there. So my guess is they use some kind of background physics, and they just placed the items in space in a group and made that the event. So the group of items are in space based on, low G settings on a planet. So they have, it seems like they have planetary physics in space, because the asteroids will do all that wobbling and weird stuff, where some of the assets will act like that when you're on the ground, That's the drawback. That's the drawback to this mod. This mod adds those are the drawbacks of this mod. The good thing is this mod adds a faction. This mod makes the universe feel more lived in. This mod adds quests and radiant quests that are really good, and the experience is fair, and it gives you something to do. Especially if you like ship battles, you like space battles, those are limited. And for the most part, from everything that I've played, this is strictly a space add-on. So if you really like ships, you really like doing space exploration, you want to have more things to do in space with your ship, this is a mod for you. It's worth it. If you're, on the fence with space things and that part's not really important to you, but you do like the universe and you do want to add to the universe, it's kind of worth it. I'm going to let you decide because I'm going to give you the review score. This mod, it needs polish. It needs an update. The physics need to be fixed. Some of the, the events need to be reworked. They need to be retuned. I don't think it's quite ready for, monetization. So because of the monetization aspect, again, if this was free, perfect. But these are monetized mods. They need a higher standard. This is going to be a 7 out of 10. This is a 7 out of 10 because of the bugs, the glitchiness, and the some of the jank with the asteroids and physics, right? So this is a 7 out of 10. That is the Starsim mining conglomerate. That is my conclusion for this mod. For the last review of the video, we're going to be taking a look at the Pistol Enforcer mod. This is basically an HK USP 45 without the licensing. And that's exactly what it is. It is almost an exact replica of the HK USP 45. Now, if you don't know, HK Heckler & Koch, they've been making weapons for a really long time. They make high quality weapons, and you've seen the HK, weapons and, Call of Duty. They're used in military, law enforcement, etc., etc. They're HK. You can go look them up, of course. It is an exact replica. What's good about it is, coming from, a background with firearms, it is 100% accurate. The trigger is accurate. The slide is accurate. Even the markings on the side of the slide are accurate. The attachments are accurate. And you'll see there are a few different attachments too, and we're going to go over that in a second, but the attachments are accurate. The way the gun functions is accurate. The asset looks beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful looking gun. Beautiful assets. This looks like an HK USP 45. This looks like a gun. This gun looks as good as it would if it was in, Modern Warfare 3, etc., etc. This is a really good weapon mod. There are two drawbacks with this mod. The holographic sight and the combat red dot sight. The reticles are buggy. You'll see that the reticles kind of flash around. They have a really low FPS or refresh rate. I would say for some reason their refresh rate is probably 10 FPS or lower. And I know this isn't a problem with the game engine or, modding in general, because the other weapon, the Mini, has a perfect reticle. The reticles on the Mini are pretty perfect and they work like they should. It has a high refresh rate. There's no ghosting or anything like that in the Mini sights. So if the Mini red dot sights look good and there are no ghosting with those reticles, I don't see why the reticles for the HK USB are janky like they are. I don't understand why the reticles are janky. That needs to be updated and fixed because why? This is a paid mod. To be fair, this is the cheaper of the paid mods. I think it's only 100 or 200 credits for the HK USP or basically the Enforcer mod. The gun itself is a 10 out of 10. The mods are a 10 out of 10. As you can see, basically you have all the pistol mods that you would have, well, a lot of the ones that you would have in real life. You have the different magazines, you have the internal gun parts, you have grips, you have suppressor, you have compensator, you have different red dot sights. Now, once that is fixed, the gun will be a completely 10 out of 10. Once that's fixed, though, the mod will be worth it. It will be a 10 out of 10 mod. If they fix those things and they fix the refresh issues, the mod will be a 10 out of 10. You can see the reloading functions perfectly. The asset in game looks perfectly. The weapon light looks accurate. It is accurate to like a TLR7 or a similar tactical light. The laser is also kind of buggy. So however they designed that laser sight and the reticles needs some work. If they need to update the laser sight too, I should say. Because if they update the laser sight, they update the reticles, 10 out of 10 mod, no brainer. But yeah, it is a paid mod, so we have to be fair and balanced with that part of the review. If this was free, again, I sound like a broken record, but I have to emphasize that. You cannot evaluate this stuff as if they were free content. You have to evaluate and scrutinize these things as if they were officially released by Bethesda, because they are monetized. So overall, I give this mod a 9 out of 10. And the reason why is because of the low cost. the high quality of the assets, the high quality mods, the accuracy, the realism, the realistic reloading. It functions and cycles properly. That's really hard to get a gun to do in video games. It cycles, reloads, everything functions properly. Decent grip, because I'm guessing Starfield has a default grip. Normally a pistol grip would be higher. You would have a higher, grip on a pistol. But other than that, it all looks fantastic. It's all lore accurate to the USP. It's all accurate based on realism. And to be honest, yes, HK USPs are going to be used 100 years from now. Of course, people still use 1911s. These designs are classic. What I want to see is someone add a Beretta M9. I want to see a P90, and I want to see a SCAR, right? Everyone wants to use a SCAR. If they could have a SCAR, that would be great. Oh, and one more cool thing about this mod. You can convert the ammo. You can use 45, or you can update it to use the 43 ammo, the modern ammo that is more plentiful. So that is really cool. So you can switch it and modernize it and use current Starfield ammo. Really cool, very lore accurate. So here, just for demonstration, I have my FM510. Now this is cleared for safety. Of course, there is nothing in the chamber, but it will give you a good idea of how accurate the HK USP is. And you can see we do have combat sights. So you do have red dot sights that is pretty accurate. You can see that the gun looks really good and how they look in real life. The HK USP, the Enforcer pistol mod, looks really good just like that. Now I will show you with the grip, the thing that most games get wrong with the grip and what I would like to see fixed is typically you want a higher grip on your pistol. You're going to want a higher grip to get a good grip of the recoil. So your grip should actually look like this, not like this. So that's the only pet peeve, but I'm guessing that's in the Starfield animations themselves. They'll probably fix with the Creation Club. Again, always make sure your weapon is unloaded, no magazine. Always, 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 always obey the rules of gun safety. Never play around with the gun that you don't know is safe. Even if someone checks it, racks a slide, you rack it, you check it, make sure it's safe too. That's just a side rant on a little bit on gun safety. Never point it at anyone. Make sure it is unloaded, especially if you're going to put it on camera. That gun was 100% unloaded. But I did want to go over that to enhance the point of how realistic this HK USP 45 is, this Enforcer. Looks great. Someone added 10mm for me, please. Add a 10mm because the FM510 is, and that's my favorite caliber. Add a 10mm because we have those in Fallout. That's it for the video. Those are the mods. Those are all the really good paid mods that I think are worth downloading, maybe for some people. Those are my review scores. I tried to be as fair as possible because I did pay for them, but they don't cost a lot. So I don't have buyers. I don't have a bias because I bought them and feel like I lost money. And that's going to wrap up our paid mods for the week. Now I plan on doing a review on paid mods every single week for all the updates and everything that is added to the Creation Club. I'm in favor of paid mods. I only owe it to the community and to myself to put my money where my mouth is and let people know if it's worth it or not. That's part of the system. That's part of consumer choice. We get to review it and let you know if it's worth it or not. And in my videos, I'm going to break down and show you everything that you need to know to decide if you want the mod for yourself or not. Because paying for things right now is kind of tough. Everything is expensive. We all know that. So hopefully this saves you some time. This saves you some money. This gives you more of an insight into the modding world of Starfield and what kind of content you could potentially see down the road. Again, I'm going to have these every single week. Thanks for liking and subscribing. I appreciate all of the positivity. All of the engagement helps with the channel. It helps me keep me motivated to do this. And it is a passion. And thanks everybody for watching. That is the video. Thank you.